Imagine a situation where someone, in the middle of an argument, starts shouting, insulting, and trying to provoke you in every possible way. Instead of losing your cool, you maintain a calm smile. Not because you agree with the person, but because you choose not to be shaken. You have control over the situation and an inner peace that no one can take away. How many times have you handed your peace over to someone who didn't deserve it? A harsh word, a lack of respect, an unexpected betrayal? And just like that, your tranquility vanishes, as if someone else is in charge of your mood. But what if I told you that maintaining your peace is a choice, that nothing and no one can take that away from you unless you allow it? What you're going to learn here can change the way you see things. It's not about hiding or pretending you don't feel, but about understanding that you are the one who controls your emotions. I'll share 15 simple ideas based on Stoic philosophy that will help you develop a firmer and more secure mindset. Before we proceed, I invite you to commit to your change. Leave a comment saying, "Today I choose to take control." By doing so, you take the first step toward reclaiming your peace and balance. Let's go. Number 1. Understand what offenses really are. Think back to a time when someone hurt you with words or actions. Instead of feeling bad, ask yourself, why am I letting this affect me? The Stoics teach that offenses only have power if we grant them that power. It's not the words or actions of others that disturb us, but how we choose to perceive them. When someone insults you, the problem doesn't lie in what was said, but in how you decide to react. Seneca stated that nothing offends us except our own opinion of it. In other words, we are the ones who give excessive value to what others do or say. No one can take your peace unless you allow it. Imagine that instead of getting upset, you viewed the offense as something outside your control. You choose your reaction. If you don't give it importance, the other person loses power over you. Now think, how many times have you let a silly comment from a stranger or a critique at work ruin your day? This happens because we often seek approval from others and become vulnerable. The truth is that no one needs to value you more than you value yourself. Visualize yourself as a fortress that no one can tear down with words. When someone tries to hit you, you simply observe, knowing that it says more about them than it does about you. Offenses lose their effect because your peace comes from within and doesn't depend on others' opinions. True freedom, according to the Stoics, is realizing that an offense only exists if you react to it. When you tend to your mind, you see that these attacks are just empty noise. How many opportunities have you had to remain calm but let them slip away? Well, choose not to let provocations define your mood. Your peace is yours, and no one can take it. Number 2, make self-control your greatest power. Think about a stressful day. Someone provokes you, something goes wrong, or even just the busyness of the day exhausts you. Do you let anger and nervousness take over, or do you choose to act differently? The Stoics understood that true power doesn't lie in controlling what happens outside, but in how you react. Epictetus said that true freedom is not being a prisoner of your own impulses. Self-control is a tremendous strength because it gives you the power to act with clarity, even when things go off track. It's not about ignoring what you feel, but about being able to think before you act and not letting emotions sweep you away. Carl Jung, a prominent psychologist, taught that wisdom begins when we recognize our emotions and understand where they come from. In other words, it's not about pretending you don't feel. It's about looking inward and choosing how to act. The Stoics believed that in the face of difficulties, our true strength lies in responding with balance, not emotional outbursts. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, said that the goal of life isn't to be perpetually happy, but to live according to reason. Thinking clearly helps us avoid being swept away by momentary emotions. Having self-control isn't about being cold or indifferent. It's about knowing how to choose the best response. This grants us freedom because when we master ourselves, no one else controls our reactions. Imagine a situation where you feel anger rising. Instead of exploding, you take a moment, breathe, and think about the best course of action. This isn't weakness, it's true strength. You're demonstrating self-control, and in doing so, you shield yourself from the chaos around you. Choosing to act consciously in the face of strong emotions is what makes self-control such a valuable virtue. When you learn to command your thoughts and reactions, nothing and no one can dominate you. You stop being swept away by circumstances and start deciding how you want to live. So the next time chaos knocks at your door, remember, only you decide how you will respond. Those who master their emotions achieve true freedom. Number 3. Expecting too much from others is the quickest path to frustration. Take a moment to think. You trust someone, believe they'll act a certain way, support you, or reciprocate your kindness. But then, suddenly they do the opposite. They disappoint you, betray you, or simply don't act as you expected. It's at this moment that we realize the more we expect from others, the easier it is to get hurt. The philosopher Zeno of Citium, who founded Stoicism, warned about this. He said that those who live expecting good actions from others often end up frustrated because no one is perfect. If we keep counting on people to act the way we think is right, we're setting ourselves up for disappointment. Everyone has their flaws and choices, and that's beyond our control. Erich Fromm, a philosopher and psychologist, reinforces this idea. Loving someone doesn't mean handing them the keys to our happiness. When we let others dictate our joy, we become vulnerable because no one can please us all the time. Michel de Montaigne also noted that what hurts us the most isn't what others do, but rather what we expected them to do. We project our desires onto others' actions, and when that doesn't happen, we suffer. The secret here is simple. Stop expecting too much from people. This doesn't mean you have to be cold or distant. It means understanding that everyone has their own journey, mistakes, and limits. Instead of waiting for things to happen the way you want, it's better to learn to deal with what actually occurs. A practical tip is, take care of your peace and accept that you don't control others' behavior. When you stop expecting too much from others, you begin to realize that you have the power to choose how you will react. No matter what they do, your calm remains steadfast. Emperor Marcus Aurelius practiced this. He knew he couldn't control people's actions, so he focused on maintaining his own virtues. He didn't waste time trying to change the world around him. Instead, he concerned himself with continuing to do what was right. When you understand this, you realize that you don't have to carry the weight of others' mistakes. Each person is responsible for themselves. Your tranquility will only truly exist when you let go of what others do or don't do. By lowering your expectations, you live with more lightness, calm, and balance. Number 4, don't feed provocations. Now imagine another situation. Someone tries to irritate you. It could be a nasty criticism, a snide comment, or even an aggressive attitude. The most common reaction is to respond in kind. But what if, instead, you simply didn't care? Stoics taught that true strength lies in maintaining calm, even when someone tries to get under your skin. Epictetus said that it's not what happens to us that harms us, but how we react to what happens. In other words, a provocation only affects you if you allow it. If someone disrespects you, you can choose not to pay attention. This isn't weakness, it's emotional control. It's knowing that not everything deserves a response. Often silence is the best response of all. Albert Ellis, another important thinker, claimed that people don't offend us. We feel offended by them. The provocation itself is neutral. Our reaction is our choice. When you learn to remain calm in the face of provocations, you demonstrate that you control your emotions, not others. Think of the times you reacted impulsively. Maybe you argued, maybe you got stressed. In the end, you only escalated the problem. When you choose not to engage, you realize how liberating that is. You become stronger and less affected by trivial matters. Being indifferent to provocations doesn't mean ignoring everything. It means choosing not to expend energy on what isn't worth it. When someone tries to get to you, you can simply observe without being dragged in. Arthur Schopenhauer, another philosopher, said that the best way to deal with difficult people is to ignore them. It's like poison. It only harms you if you swallow it. So, often, the best response is none at all. It's about not reacting and not being shaken. This calmness in the face of provocations is a skill that can be trained. Every time you choose not to respond, you strengthen yourself. Gradually, you become more serene, more resilient, and more at peace. So, the next time someone tries to rattle you, remember, you don't have to react. You can choose to maintain your tranquility, and that choice is often the smartest one. Number 5, remember that every situation is a test. Think of a moment in your day when something difficult happens. It could be a fight at work, a personal issue, or simply something that irritates you because it didn't go as you wanted. The question is, how do you react? Do you see it as a burden or as an opportunity to exercise your calmness and wisdom? For the Stoics, every challenging situation is like a workout for our internal qualities. Instead of just thinking about the pain of the moment, we can see it as a test of our patience, courage, and balance. William James, a famous thinker, said that humanity's greatest discovery is that by changing our perspective, we change our lives. In other words, situations don't control us. The difference lies in how we choose to face them. Whenever a problem arises, we can ask ourselves, how can I use this to grow in patience and self-control? It's not about fleeing or exploding with anger, but about keeping a cool head and viewing each challenge as a step toward becoming stronger. Philosopher Kant echoed similar sentiments. What seems like a problem is actually a disguised opportunity. When something bothers you or seems unfair, think of it as a chance to act with more wisdom and character. Every challenge, big or small, is an opportunity to demonstrate your courage and balance. When you view life this way, you stop feeling like a victim of your problems. Instead of getting stuck or upset, you take proactive steps and learn from each situation. Even the worst moments can become valuable lessons. For example, if someone insults you, consider it a test of your patience. If you make a mistake at work, use the situation to grow professionally. Every moment becomes a chance to surpass yourself. Seneca, another sage, reminds us that it's not what happens that matters, but how we handle what happens. With this mindset, every situation in life carries a lesson, as long as you are open to seeing it that way. So, when life puts a problem in your path, don't see it as a wall, but as a test. Take the opportunity to learn more about yourself, strengthen your qualities, and grow as a person. By facing things this way, even challenges can become springboards for your evolution. Number 6, letting go is not losing. Imagine you invest a lot of energy, time, and emotion into something, be it a job, a relationship, or a plan for the future. Suddenly, things go wrong or spiral out of control. How do you feel? Sad? Frustrated? Lost? For the Stoics, learning to detach emotionally is essential for maintaining inner peace. Instead of getting stuck on results or expectations, the idea is to loosen the ties and understand that true happiness doesn't depend on what's outside, but on how you react inside. Philosopher David Hume argued that our happiness comes more from how we view things than from the things themselves. When we place our joy in something we can't control, such as other people or external situations, we become prisoners of life's changes. And we know that life is always changing. Letting go doesn't mean becoming cold or emotionless. It simply means not allowing our emotions to drag us down when things don't go as expected. Epictetus already said, "It's not the things that disturb us, but what we think about them." By letting go of this emotional dependency, you become lighter and live with more tranquility. When you practice detachment, you become stronger in the face of loss and change because you understand that what truly matters is how you respond to what happens. Nietzsche also warned that everything is temporary, and happiness depends on not getting stuck on what is fleeting. Detachment also gives you freedom. If you cling too tightly to something you can't control, you end up creating expectations, and when they don't materialize, disappointment follows. Therefore, emotional detachment teaches us to value experiences without expecting them to define who we are or determine our state of mind. A simple example. Imagine you dedicated a lot to a project at work. If it fails, detachment helps you accept the situation without letting it bring you down. You learn from mistakes, adjust your path, and move forward without carrying the weight of frustration. In personal relationships, letting go works wonders as well. When you don't depend on others to feel good, you create healthier and more genuine connections based on respect rather than emotional neediness. This way, you live more lightly, accepting that things change, and understanding that true peace comes from within. When you release what you can't control, you gain the freedom to live more fully. Number 7, see how small the problem really is. Think of something that's been worrying you, a debt, a misunderstanding, a recent mistake, or something that seems unsolvable. Now, close your eyes and imagine observing that situation from a distance, as if you were high on a mountain, or viewing it from the sky, or even outer space. From that distance, does the problem still seem large? The Stoics had a mental exercise called the view from above. It was a way to distance themselves from problems and see them more clearly. Marcus Aurelius, who was both an emperor and a philosopher, wrote to himself that when we look at the vastness of time and space, everything that happens to us seems like a leaf blown by the wind. This doesn't mean ignoring the problem. It's about seeing it in its true size. The thinker Blaise Pascal once said that although we are fragile like a thin branch, we have the power to assign importance to things. In other words, we can choose the weight we give to our problems. Seeing how small a situation is can greatly relieve anxiety. Consider that what troubles you today might not even be remembered in a few months or years. This gives you space to think calmly and act more effectively. It's like a storm in a teacup. When we're caught up in it, everything seems chaotic. But when we look from the outside, we realize it's just a bit of water swirling in a tiny space. Most problems are like that. They only seem enormous because we're looking too closely. Scientist Lisa Feldman Barrett explains that our brains amplify whatever we focus on. So the more you concentrate on the problem, the bigger it seems. But when you view it within the broader context of life and time, it diminishes and sometimes even disappears. This broader perspective isn't about escaping, it's about having wisdom. It's a reminder that everything passes. Pain, frustration, and difficulties are temporary. When you look with more reason, you see that most of today's problems won't matter tomorrow. So, the next time something weighs you down, try to distance yourself mentally. Remember that you are more than what's happening. The broader your view, the less weight your discomfort will carry. The universe is vast, time is endless, and your problem is just a tiny dot in it all. Number 8. Calmness is your strength. Think of a moment when everyone around you is losing their heads, shouting, and making impulsive decisions. Now, imagine yourself in the middle of that chaos, breathing deeply, speaking calmly, and maintaining a steady gaze. This isn't weakness, it's control. For the Stoics, calmness was like a silent weapon. It shows that your mind is prepared, that you don't let the heat of the moment dictate your mood, nor place your feelings in the hands of others. While people drown in emotions, those who remain calm command the situation. Strategist Sun Tzu, who wrote The Art of War, said that if the enemy is calm, it's wise to respect them because they'll be hard to defeat. Even in battles, the most intimidating figure isn't the furious one, but the serene one. Nobody knows what to expect from someone composed amidst chaos. Calmness indicates that you are ready, that you've thought ahead and prepared for challenges. Neuroscientist Judy Willis emphasizes that a calm mind makes better decisions, while an alert mind only reacts automatically. In essence, staying calm gives you access to your most intelligent and insightful self. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone angers you, ask yourself, what bothers me, their behavior or my judgment of it?" This type of reflection helps maintain inner peace. It's not a passive calm. It's a calm that knows it doesn't need to retaliate to be strong. Moreover, calmness is contagious. In tense environments, a tranquil person can change the atmosphere around them. They exude steadiness and confidence, and people tend to trust those who don't lose control and choose their words and actions wisely. However, achieving this calm requires practice. Start with simple things. Don't respond in the heat of anger. Don't take everything personally, and take a moment before acting. These small steps will prepare you to maintain composure in truly challenging situations. Remember, the next time you feel like exploding, choose silence and deep breathing. True strength lies in mastering yourself. Anger shouts, calmness commands. Number 9. Don't fall into the trap of anger. Play it smart. When someone provokes you, spreads lies, or tries to destabilize you, what do? Lose control? Or take a deep breath and view the situation as just another test for your mind? For the Stoics, anger is a choice. It only arises when we forget that we can choose how to respond. The true Stoic turns every attack into a workout for their self-control. They don't engage in the emotional games of others. They play their own game. Psychiatrist Viktor Frankl said that between what happens and how we respond, there is a space. In that space lies our power of choice, and within that choice is our freedom. When you grasp this, you realize that anger isn't mandatory, it's optional. And by choosing not to give in, you gain strength. Think of every difficult person, every unfair situation, as a challenge in a game. The more challenging it is, the more strategy you need. The greater the provocation, the more you test your calm. Anger wants to make you react impulsively, but self-control wants you to prevail. The Stoic Musonius Rufus said that the best revenge against a provocateur is not to stoop to their level. If someone treats you with disrespect, the most powerful response is to maintain your dignity. It's not about accepting injustice. It's about dealing with it without losing your clarity and balance. Mastering this mental game means no longer being surprised by others. As Clarice Lispector said, people are as they are. What disappoints us are the expectations we create. When you understand that the world is imperfect, provocations lose their power. Transform anger into strategy. Use difficulties as training to become someone increasingly firm and aware. Number 10. Realize how quickly life passes. Think about it. Everything you have, your home, your belongings, the people around you, your youth, and even the simple act of breathing, can disappear in an instant. This can indeed be unsettling. But for the Stoics, remembering this isn't a cause for panic. It's actually the secret to living with more presence, gratitude, and wisdom. Life is short, fragile, and full of surprises. Marcus Aurelius, for example, always remembered death, not out of obsession, but as a reminder that tomorrow is uncertain. He said, "You could die right now. Let this guide your actions." This thought, known as memento mori, remember death, is not meant to make you live in fear, but to truly live. When you understand that everything passes, you stop wasting energy on trivialities and grievances that lead nowhere. The poet Horace already said, "Seize the day." In other words, don't postpone your life. What seems like a huge problem, a victory, or an attachment today will tomorrow be just a memory. Everything changes. Everything ends. Studies show that this awareness of loss makes us love more deeply. The Stoics understood. Those who realize that everything is temporary value moments more, embrace with greater affection, notice the sky with more attention, and live with more presence. Pain also loses its grip when we understand that it doesn't last forever. Crises, sadness, and losses pass. As Heraclitus said, "You can't step into the same river twice, for everything has changed." Understanding this makes you calmer and freer. You begin to go with the flow of life instead of fighting against it. The only time we have is now, and wasting it on anger or distractions is throwing away what is most precious. Always remember, everything you love will transform, and everything you fear will too. This is not bad. It's just how life works. By accepting this with an open heart, you truly begin to live with intention. Don't wait for the future to value the present. Be attentive, be grateful, live in the now. Nothing lasts forever, and for that very reason, everything holds value. Number 11, understand the pain behind aggression. When someone attacks or disrespects you, the natural reaction is to feel angry and want to respond in kind. But what if instead you paused for a moment and thought, what is this person trying to hide inside? The Stoics remind us not to take offenses personally. Almost always, those who hurt are acting out of ignorance or their own pain. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Whoever harms you does so without knowing what is good." In other words, those who hurt are actually suffering inside. The monk Thich Nhat Hanh said, "Those who act out of anger are suffering and want to be understood." Having compassion is not being weak, it's having clarity. It's looking at the other as someone lost in their own pain. Anger in itself is natural, but how you handle it shows your true strength. Transforming anger into compassion doesn't mean accepting abuse, but choosing not to let the poison of another affect you. Psychologist Marshall Rosenberg stated that behind every aggression lies an unmet need. When you see this, you begin to view others with more understanding and yourself with more lightness. Consider the strength of someone who, even when attacked, remains calm and generous. This person is not being weak, they are being wise. They know that responding to fire with fire only increases the flames. Interrupting this cycle takes courage. Transforming anger into compassion is a choice rooted in emotional intelligence. It's saying, "I see your pain, but I won't carry it with me." It's protecting your peace without needing to win arguments. After all, as an old proverb goes, holding on to anger is like holding a hot coal to throw at someone. You get burned first. The next time someone tries to hurt you, remember, you always have a choice. You can either fuel the flame or extinguish the fire with the water of understanding. In that decision lies your true strength. Number 12, use gratitude as a shield for the soul. How many times have you found yourself complaining about traffic, work, or a life that isn't what you want? Now pause and take a deep breath. You are alive reading this, with eyes to see, a mind to think, and a heart to feel. That alone is incredible. For the Stoics, gratitude isn't just a nice feeling. It's a daily practice that strengthens the soul. It's remembering every day that, even in the absence of certain things, we already have so much. Musonius Rufus taught that those who don't learn to rejoice in what they have will always be slaves to what they desire. Valuing the present doesn't mean settling. It's about avoiding ingratitude. which blinds us to the small riches of everyday life. Science confirms it. People who practice gratitude are happier, sleep better, and cope better with life's challenges. Gratitude is a form of resistance. It's seeing what remains standing, even in tough times. When you practice gratitude, you begin to train your mind to see what is right, not just what is lacking. What seems simple, a clean glass of water, a good conversation, the sunrise, reveals itself as a true, silent miracle. As Seneca said, nothing is more deserving of respect than gratitude. Number 13, freedom comes from acceptance. Think for a moment that everything around you is beyond your control. What people do, the situations that arise, even how the world works. Now imagine that instead of fighting against this, you simply accepted things as they are. How would you feel? For the Stoics, accepting life doesn't mean being passive. It means acting intelligently. Often we waste too much energy trying to change what is beyond our control. True strength lies in understanding that some things simply don't depend on us. When we accept this, we stop suffering unnecessarily. Epictetus, one of the Stoic sages, said that we don't choose what happens, but we can always choose how to react. This is the foundation of inner peace, accepting what cannot be changed and focusing on what is within our reach. When we try to control everything, we become prisoners of our own stubbornness. But by recognizing what doesn't depend on us, we gain real freedom. Acceptance does not mean resignation. It doesn't mean turning a blind eye to injustices or problems. But while we strive for improvement, we can embrace the present situation without letting it destroy us from within. Alan Watts, another thinker, expressed a similar idea. Life flows like water. When we try to swim against the current, we suffer. But if we go with the flow, life becomes lighter. This perspective shows that fighting against reality only leads to exhaustion. Accepting the ups and downs of life helps us to live in peace. Thus, instead of wasting time on what we cannot change, we use our energy to act where it makes a difference, in our choices and attitudes. Think about the situations that bother you the most. It could be a difficult relationship, a frustrating job, or something that feels out of your control. True freedom arises when we accept these things as they are while continuing to seek improvement if possible. More importantly, we stop letting them define our mood and peace. Acceptance is not throwing in the towel. On the contrary, it clears the mind and helps us act more intelligently. We learn to focus our attention only on what truly deserves our effort and to let go of what is beyond our control. Thus, we let go of unnecessary burdens and move forward feeling lighter, free from the emotional weight that once held us back. Remember, acceptance is not giving up. It's the wisdom to understand our limits. With practice, this mindset brings lasting peace, one that doesn't rely on the ups and downs of life, but rather on how we choose to perceive the world. This is true freedom. Number 14, resilience, growing through difficulties. Imagine you are going through a tough time, a loss, work problems, an illness, or a huge challenge. In these moments, it's normal to feel weak or even want to give up. But what if you could use this difficult situation to grow stronger? What if, instead of sinking into the pain, you chose to rise above it? For the Stoics, true strength emerges during hard times. Resilience isn't just about holding on. It's about using pain as an opportunity to become stronger within. Epictetus taught that what truly matters isn't what happens to us, but how we respond. Even in the worst situations, our reaction makes all the difference in maintaining calm and growing. A resilient person is not someone who never makes mistakes or suffers. Rather, it's someone who, even when they fall, always tries again. This is what the Stoics valued most, the courage to get back up every time life knocks us down. True victory lies in continuing to move forward, learning from our stumbles, and getting stronger with each challenge. Resilience doesn't mean living without problems. It means using each one as a stepping stone for our growth. For instance, if a project fails, the natural reaction might be to feel frustrated or fearful of trying again. But the resilient mindset asks, what can I learn from this? Every mistake becomes an opportunity for improvement. Moreover, being resilient means staying calm even under pressure. It's not the weight of the problem that brings you down, but how you carry it. Instead of getting lost in the pain of the moment, keep your head clear and remember that this too shall pass. Stoic resilience thrives on the idea that every situation is an opportunity to exercise our wisdom. With this perspective, we can not only survive challenges but also grow from them. Therefore, face difficulties not as enemies, but as teachers. They educate, challenge, and strengthen us. When you choose to move forward with courage, you become someone who can withstand any storm, knowing that sooner or later, the sun will shine again. True strength lies in persevering, always learning and evolving, no matter what comes your way. Number 15. Find calm in simplicity. Consider how it feels to wake up and immediately face a world full of choices, tasks, demands, and noise. There's always something to solve, achieve, or buy. Before the day even starts, your mind is racing, trying to keep up with life's demands. But what if instead, you took a moment to appreciate the basics? The Stoics always taught that true tranquility comes from a simple life, letting go of the rush for more and valuing what is already part of your life. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, said happiness isn't about accumulating things but about knowing how to enjoy what we have. He made us reflect on how often we lose ourselves pursuing what we think we need from the outside, when in fact, it already exists within us, in the most basic and important things. For the Stoics, living simply doesn't mean giving up good experiences or isolating oneself. It means finding joy in small things, a moment of silence, a heartfelt conversation, a brief moment of peace. Society often pushes us to consume more, achieve more, and do more. But there comes a time when we need to choose the calm and lightness that a simpler life offers. Henry David Thoreau put it bluntly, "Life is simple, but we complicate it. Indeed, we excel at creating problems and surrounding ourselves with things that ultimately don't bring true joy." True satisfaction, as the Stoics taught, doesn't lie in excess, but in balance. Less is more isn't just a pretty saying, it's a real way to live. If you take a moment to think, you'll realize that the happiest moments are often the simplest. Enjoying a warm cup of coffee, taking a stroll down the street, or sharing a good conversation with someone you care about. It's not the grand achievements that touch us most, but those small pieces of peace that emerge when we stop chasing after things and start valuing what truly matters. Seneca reminded us that happiness doesn't come from what we accumulate, but from the ability to be content with the little we already have. By letting go of the constant pursuit of external possessions and achievements, you come closer to a genuine calm that no object can provide. The greatest wealth lies in being able to find happiness in what is already part of your life. This applies to the mind as well. Often, our heads are filled with worries and desires. But when we seek to simplify our thoughts, we learn to focus on what truly matters and clarify what seemed complicated. Epictetus said that freedom appears when we stop being slaves to distractions. Now imagine a day where you choose to live with simplicity. You wake up, do what needs to be done, appreciate each moment, and allow yourself to rest. You don't get lost in confusing thoughts or the rush of the modern world. You permit yourself to enjoy the simple fact of being alive and present. When we find calm and simplicity, we see that it doesn't take much to be happy. A perfect day or a problem-free life isn't necessary. Happiness resides in the details of everyday life. Peace is in each step, in every breath, in accepting life as it is, and in being grateful for what already exists. So, if you truly want to find peace, start making your life lighter. Simplify your thoughts, your goals, your relationships, and even your expectations. Leave behind the burdens you don't need to carry, and you'll realize that calm has always been there, waiting to be noticed in the simplest things. I'm really glad you made it this far. It shows you are genuinely interested in personal growth. If you enjoyed this message, please leave a comment. If you're unsure what to say, just comment "wisdom" so I know you stayed until the end. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, take this opportunity to join us on this journey. Stoicism has many other teachings that can help you in daily life, so I invite you to keep learning about this philosophy. I've selected 2 videos filled with valuable insights for you to continue. Until next time.